Welcome to Beyond the Page, the official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching where we bring you in-depth insights and features that you just won't find anywhere else. I'm Gary Schleifer, your host, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into the latest articles, have a chat with this brilliant author behind the one we're talking about today, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. When you get a chance, join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and most importantly, make a real difference in our lives and our clients' lives. And I say that because when we talk with Terrie, you're going to find out why.
Mhm.
This is your go-to resource for all things coaching. Let's dive in. In today's episode, I'm speaking with executive and team coach Terrie Lupberger, who is the author of an article in our latest issue, Coaching to Unlock Joy. The article is entitled Joy as a Radical Act, How to Cultivate It in Your Coaching. A bit about Terrie. She holds an MCC and an ACTC. For 25 plus years, she's been a team coach and an executive coach. She's the author of the newly released book, Over Her Left Shoulder, Uncommon Wisdom at Work. Described by her clients as disruptor of the status quo, her life's work is about inviting people to loosen their grip on outdated norms, beliefs, and rules in order to discover what's truly possible. She works with business professionals to help them reset the default settings they work and live by, and is also a coach trainer in several programs around the world. Of course. Thank you so much for joining me today, Terrie.
Thanks, Gary.
What are some of the schools again that you're coaching with, teaching with?
I coach for work with ITS in London, the Coach Partnership in Singapore. Pamela Richard and I have our own program called the Disruptive Coach,
Yes.
Disruptive Change Maker, and there's and I Pyramid Resource Group, the Health
Oh, with
Coaching
DJ
Institute.
Mitch.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's
think
fun.
interviewing her soon.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yay. So, okay, you got to tell us about the book. It's hanging there. Uncommon Wisdom at Work. And
Yeah.
and how does that tie into what we're talking about today?
Um, So, we as a society have spent gazillions of dollars, not an exaggeration, on leadership training and leadership coach, like leadership development. And we still find ourselves kind of in the world we find ourselves in. And I've been on this mission, like, what's missing? What are we not paying attention to?
Mm,
That if we paid attention to it, it might make a difference. And one of the things I uncovered is that, you know, we are at the effect of what I call the mother narratives, the collective narratives that
mhm.
human beings are living and working by. And most of us were not aware of how much influence they have over us, right? Like the whole scarcity myth that there's not enough, which
Mm.
has us then compete, that we should be afraid of each other, which is the myth that we're not connected, which we are. And one of the myths that we live by is that happiness, our worth, comes from external circumstances, right? And so joy, in my worldview, does not come because of external circumstances. Joy is a state of being that we can cultivate regardless of external circumstances, which then makes us a little more immune to the collective stories. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, oh, very much. Like I'm thinking, what are the societal norms that we just accept without question?
Exactly.
And we
Exactly.
always be asking the question, so why do we do that again? It's
Right.
yeah, it's interesting. Around the holiday season, I was asking family, I'm part of three families in a way, and what's the common things that they did on Christmas Eve as a
Mm.
family? And it's interesting because some of them just really didn't remember, didn't know, and others went back. For example, my mother went back to when she was a child in Germany, and told about a Jewish family in her neighborhood. So this was pre-war. And I was like, wow, just like that. And I thought, in my world, you picture it that there were no Jews by the time my mom was growing up, and that was actually not the case.
Yeah.
Very, heartfelt to hear that they just, was a family in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Who were at their Christmas dinner table.
Right. And somehow, the story, which, for me, story is like one of the most powerful forces in the universe, because it's not so much about the facts, it's about the story we weave around them. And there's just layers and layers and layers of stories um, that we need to kind of unpack, reveal, see how they're impacting us.
Yeah. Oh, well, and my mom's 93, so any stories that I get from her now are, like their history way back.
Oh,
So,
make sure you get them too. It's one of the regrets I have is I didn't get all the stories from my older relatives before they passed.
yeah. Well, and you'll never get all of them, and that's the way they remember them,
Yes, true. Very
right?
true. Very, very true. Very
Well,
true.
going back to the article about joy, you said that you believe that joy is such a radical stance in
Yeah.
today's world. Tell us more why you believe that and how it affects giving the crises and narratives we have going on right now.
Um, So for me, joy, I would say, is almost a defiant act because it disrupts those meta narratives, the collective stories that would tell us we're not enough, we don't have enough, we should be afraid. If your neighbor doesn't look like you, then something's wrong, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so joy, and I do distinguish it from happiness, right? And this is my distinction, which is joy is ever present, ever available to us. It's kind of like a ground of being that's available to us, as opposed to happiness, which comes from external circumstances. I get the puppy, I get the promotion, I win the lottery. All those are great. And I'll feel the emotion of happiness. But for me, joy is kind of the underlying ever present way of being that's available that says it's okay and it's great.
Oh, and thank you for kicking us off with that distinction because that was one of the big questions that came out of putting this issue together was what's the difference between joy and happiness? I'll also quote from your article a little bit more about joy. It shouldn't be confused with toxic positivity either.
Yeah.
It's not forced optimism or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Joy doesn't bypass difficulty, it acknowledges it while staying out of agreement with the fear that would keep us small.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that. Article is fabulous, our listeners. Make sure you get a chance to read it as well. Beyond the pages about what she was not able to put in her article, and a little bit more that happened since she wrote the article. So, I want to shift gears because we're talking a little bit externally, right? And in your article, you talked also about that joy starts at home. So tell us a little
Yes.
bit more about what coaches can do.
Um, well, I insist, beg, plead that coaches need to tend to a serious inquiry about joy and how it exists in their life, right? Where they can access it and where they can't. Because and it would be absolutely understandable that, especially given these chaotic times, that we as coaches buy into the fear, all the fear mongering, that if we show up in that state, if we don't have joy available to us as coaches, I want to say we're going to collude with our clients. And that's the worst thing that we can do, is collude with our clients. Right. So we have to tend to our own kind of foundation of joy. And like you said, it's not that I don't have grief and I don't have anger. I even have rage sometimes at what's going on. And paradoxically, I can hold that in the same space as joy, as knowing, that one of my favorite movies was the Marigold Hotel,
Okay.
about
Very,
the older people that were in the Indian,
uh,
old folks home. And one of the quotes, and I'm going to get this wrong, is everything will be all right in the end. And
yeah.
if it's not all right, it's not the end. And I love that quote. It's joy's that fundamental knowing that, and the acknowledgement we got to have this beautiful life,
Yeah.
right? As hard as it is sometimes. So for me, the first thing that coaches have to do is do kind of a check on where am I able to access joy and where am I not able to access joy? What really grabs me or triggers me or makes it impossible for me to hold whatever emotion is surfacing and joy at the same time. So I would say that's really important.
Well, thank you. Well said. And it reminds me of that statement or the reminder that people say, it's will you remember this in 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years?
Yeah.
Goes along with the same Marigold Hotel concept. It's like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
what's going on now, a lot of these things will not be in 10 years. There'll be new things, but there won't be those things.
Right.
Well,
Right. And do I want to give up? Let's go with that for the next 10 years. Do I want to give up my joy? Do
right,
I want to hand over my joy because of what's going on externally? And I acknowledge that's not easy. And I do think if we practice and put attention there, we can cultivate it.
right. Well, you also give us a little tip here. Another quote. Love. I keep quoting everything in your article. So everything's highlighted now all of a sudden because of everything I want to get in. But you said you may be experiencing devastation or anger at various world or personal events, but those feelings don't mean that joy isn't also available to you,
Right,
or that you should be passive or not take action
right.
consistent with what you most care about. So, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, because, going back to I actually got accused
Oh,
of toxic positivity. I was at a conference in Singapore, and one of the people in the audience came up, and it was in response to a question I had answered, and said, "Isn't that like a little too positive?" And so he was a therapist, and he talked about toxic positivity, and I said, "No, I said I have all these emotions." Right? The fear, the upset, the anger. And there are things that matter enough to me that I take action on them. And it doesn't deny that joy is still present.
mm,
And it's that paradoxical thinking that I do believe that we have trouble with. I think many of us, I won't say most, but many of us have trouble holding kind of opposing truths at the same time,
right. Yeah.
right? Which is another skill coaches need to develop. Right.
True, true, true. Well, and that brings up a really good question that you got these two sides, the coaches and the clients. The coaches got their work,
Yeah.
but like how do you put all this stuff you're talking about into practice? Like are
Right.
reflecting, journaling, supervised?
Yeah. There's so many ways to practice joy for ourselves as coaches, but then to, encourage our clients to do that too. One of my most favorite ones, it's called micro practicing because,
Micro practicing. Okay.
yeah, you think of the word practice, and I actually wrote about it in my book, and people go, "Oh, practice." It's like, memories of sitting at the piano when all the kids are playing outside and you don't want to do it, and it's a beautiful day and you've got to practice the piano. So practice doesn't have a great connotation.
No.
So I'm like, okay, let's try micro practicing. Right. And for me, this is something that I'm experimenting with right now, and it's really lovely. It's taking like 15 seconds to sit in the moment and appreciate.
Wow.
Just appreciate, like you're sitting in traffic, you're at a stoplight, and instead of, what have I got to do and what's the grocery list and what do I have to do with the client later, our minds are always going. It's just to sit there and be with the traffic light and look around. And, I happen to live in a beautiful place, so the mountains are right there to look at.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's that micro practicing of appreciation is
Mhm.
really making a difference for me.
Micro practicing of moments of appreciation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
I think I tend to do that too, but then somebody behind me honks because the light turns it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least they're honking because you're appreciating and not because you're reading your phone while you're waiting
Oh,
at the
I know,
stop.
I know. I've made a practice now of putting my phone in the console so I can't touch it and
Yes,
driving with two hands on the steering wheel, even if I don't have to,
yes. Well,
right?
but Gary, that's another practice is paying attention to who, I'll use that loosely, who you're hanging out with,
Hmm.
right? Because it's easy, especially now, to be kind of wedded to our phones and the news feeds um, and even people in our lives that have really been caught by the fear. And so it's really useful to pay attention to who am I hanging out with and what energy is that bringing?
Oh.
How do I pay attention to that?
Wow, that's so funny you should say that because we just had a real to do with a friend of ours who we've been hanging out with for years and then ended up in the hospital. And we thought we were power of attorney for care because we've known this guy for 4 or 5 years and no one's ever visited him in the hospital for knee surgery or whatever he went in. And we found out we weren't and thought, if you think that little of us, why should we be thinking so much of you? And that sounds selfish, but it's self-care too, because it just we weren't being appreciated.
Right.
And we didn't do it for appreciation, but it's that tough line, paradoxical, right?
It's another paradox, right? I don't want to cut out all the people in my life that I may not have access to joy around. And at the same time, there are people that I want to cut out of my life because it doesn't serve its self-care. So it's paradoxical
Yeah,
again.
crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the issue is about joy, so I'm going to bring us back to the comment that you made, that you spoke about, that you emphasize that joy must be cultivated, not assumed. So a little bit more practice here. What practices help coaches reconnect to their own joy as
Yeah.
a being? Because
Well, you
we're
mentioned,
in joy, you're saying we got to start here.
right. Well, so pay attention to where your attention is going, right? Pay attention to where your attention is going. So in those moments between clients, did you get back on your phone to read the latest, piece of news that is intentionally designed to put us into fear? Right. So stop that.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
You're watching me because
Right.
those are the things I've turned off
Yes.
because they're not serving me. They're taking me away from momentary happiness, the distinction, and long-term joy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And my situation more is others who keep coming up with this, oh my God, did you see what happened today? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, did you fact check that? No, let me do it for you. Oh, untrue. Didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. And here's another one that I really love. I call it radical receiving.
Radical receipt.
Radical
Tell me
receiving,
more.
which might seem like another paradox, but it's when somebody appreciates you or compliments you. Many of us, kind of have a little pinch about that. Oh, and then we want to deflect it, right? Or, oh, well, that wasn't anything. And can you physiologically, I want to say somatically,
Right.
receive their acknowledgement?
Hmm.
Right? I almost think of it as kind of filling your bucket because if you're deflecting, it's going to show up in your coaching, right? If you can't receive, then how are you going to coach your clients to receive?
I like to say, especially when it's charity time in the year, usually around the holiday season, but anytime, people are offered something and they go, oh, no, 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 thank you, and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like, okay, so let's turn this around. So let's say you want to give to someone and they give you the same reaction. How would you feel? So when I put them in the other side of it, then they're like, oh. And the other thing I've been doing a lot is teaching people how to stop and just say thank you and
Yeah,
stop.
just thank you.
That's
And
it.
it's not an intellectual thank you. That's a thing. Yes, it's an
Oh, it's
intellectual, but it's can I really receive and hold this?
like to
Right?
breathe it in, hold it in, and be aware and shut off all the other things you're thinking about and just be aware of the thank you that you just received, that
Yeah.
compliment, that whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you
Yeah,
say, it's not easy. So yeah, I think any
no, none
portion
of
of
this
that
is
is
easy.
radical.
But that's why I love the distinction between happiness and joy because many of us will chase happiness, right? We love it when we get the thing we thought we wanted. It's
Yeah.
kind of temporary, but we love it when we get the thing we thought we wanted, which is great. But joy, it's like a slow burn. It's like a slow cultivation of being okay with everything as it is. One of my teachers, I don't know if you know who Ajashanti is, but he has a phrase, allow everything to be as it is, which is no resisting. And that's joy. And that doesn't mean that there may be things you care enough about that you want to take action on. So I'm not talking about putting your head in the sand,
It's
right?
about, yeah, it's about allowing things to be what they are, just like
Right?
in a way, kind of radical acceptance. Again,
Yeah, exactly. Radical receiving, even of the stuff that we don't want. It is what it is. It is.
yeah, we have a version of that in casual conversation, but it's not landing with the same impact as what you said. A lot of people say, well, it is what it is, but
Yeah,
that's
right.
acceptance. That's kind of like a deflection. Like it is what it
Yeah.
is. I'm gonna, I'm not liking it.
It's disguised resignation.
Oh, there we go. Well said.
Yeah.
Disguised resignation.
Disguised resignation, as opposed to, no, it is. It is. And if I fight what's so, that's kind of like hitting my head against the brick wall. I accept. I do accept that what is in this moment is. And now what's possible?
Yeah. Well, well said. Well, the whole article is fabulous. What would you like our audience to do as a result of the article and this
Mm.
conversation?
Go practice, go
Ah,
cult go cultivate it. Yeah, like I say, I do have compassion for all of us. It's a difficult time, and that doesn't mean you can't cultivate and practice your own joy.
yeah. It's almost, when we go back to right at the beginning, it's almost like it's radical just to say joy
It is.
in the world. It's like holding
Yeah,
two truths. It's
right.
crises and craziness. And okay, Terry, it's always like that though, right? Like it's just heightened lately,
Yeah, yeah.
and overemphasized. I think media has a lot to do with it, to your point earlier. And my word of advice, turn off the media or go to a source that you can trust that's doing fact checking and just take snippets just so you know what's going on and your head isn't in the sand and take a stand for something that you do.
Exactly. Be in action. Be in action around what you care about.
Yeah.
Right. And can you do that? There's a beautiful, we could end with this. I wrote about it in the book. It was one of the most memorable teaching moments I've ever had in my life. Um, the short story is there's a gentleman named Father Tony DeMello. He passed in the 70s and he was a Jesuit and he was an amazing speaker. And he told this story about the Bhagavad Gita and, the story of Arjuna and Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And so Krishna is going into battle and he's got to fight against his family members who are on the other side. Right? I mean, Arjuna's going in to fight, not
Right.
Krishna. Arjuna's going in to fight. And so Krishna says, into the din of battle. So go take care of what you have to take care of and keep your heart at the lotus feet of the Lord, divine, fill in the blank universe, whatever
Right.
resonates for you. So go into battle. And can you do that keeping your heart full of peace and joy?
Mm.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Well,
don't practice that culturally.
oh no, not at all. We're always in the heat of the moment, heat of the battle. We don't take the time to prepare for battle or to deal with battle.
Or
Um,
to take care of our emotional self,
mm,
right?
yeah. Yeah, we do not do that well.
We don't.
Speaking to himself. Terry, absolute pleasure to have you. A reminder, Terry's recent book, Uncommon Wisdom at Work, I'm sure available on all the usual channels like
Yeah.
Amazon, Barnes and
Amazon, yeah.
Chapters. Up in Canada, we say go chapters. Yay. Chapters Indigo is our bookstore. What's the best way to reach you, Terry, if someone wants to talk more or learn more?
My website, terrielupberger.com.
Got it.
I don't need to spell that, right? They,
No, it's right there. Yeah.
great. Please.
It's right there. It's in the podcast, it's in the recording, it's in the transcript, it's everywhere. You're everywhere. Thank you for being everywhere.
Thanks,
Thank you
Gary.
for spreading joy. Thank you for reminding us how and when and why to cultivate joy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this Beyond the Page episode. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app, most likely the one that got you here in the first place. If you're not a subscriber to Choice Magazine and you're watching this video, you can sign up for your free issue by scanning the QR code in the top right-hand corner of our screen. If you're listening, you can go to choice-online.com and click the Sign Up Now button. I'm Gary Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery.